You are listening to the Visions, Missions, and Manifestations podcast, the number one place for spirituality, healing, and transcendence. I'm your host, Vivian Raquel Braha. Now let's get into it. I am so excited for today's episode. We have a fabulous, incredible guest. But before we get into today's episode, I'm really excited to share my new program called Get Rich. It's for coaches, healers, soulpreneurs who, if you're not making 20K income months on repeat, it's time to wake up. You are not put on this earth to live your purpose and still be broke. You are not meant to burn yourself out teaching 10 yoga classes a day at $20 or $40 each. Well, your gift, your power, your mission deserves so much more. That's why I created Get Rich. It's a 3-month mastermind where we collapse time on your success. I'm in your business helping you master the mindset and money energetics that actually hold wealth and the strategy that makes 20K months repeatable. Because here's the thing, strategy is only 20% of the game of success. 80% is energetics and mindset. And this is where we really anchor in. This isn't a course. This isn't fluff. This is a container that's going to change your life because you were never meant to chase your purpose and stress out about rent, about money at the same time. My favorite thing about Get Rich is that in December, we will be going on a retreat in upstate New York where we are going to up-level your business. You'll get testimonials from the other 5 women who are in this program, Get Rich. You'll get a photo shoot. We're going to do masterminding. So this is a place that you really want to be. If you know, you know, and if you don't, you're going to want to know. It's something I'm so excited about, something that I've been putting together for a while, and something that I know is going to transform your life. You can direct message me, Get Rich, on Instagram right now, or apply with the link in the show notes. This is something that you do not want to miss. This is so powerful. This is the time to say yes. If you know that you are meant for more, but you don't know how to get there, this is it. We are limiting the space to only 5 people. So run, don't walk, secure your spot. And I'll see you real soon. Now let's get into the episode. Today we have a really special guest, Spurrier, licensed therapist and shadow work coach. I'm especially excited for today's conversation because Naz will be facilitating a shadow work meditation at our manifestation live event where you'll learn how to manifest the bleep out of your life in a 2-hour event, February 1st in New York City. If you haven't already signed up and secured your seat, click the link in the show notes right now before seats sell out. Okay, to start things off, Naz, can you please explain what shadow work is and why it's important, as well as how we can use it in manifestation?
Yes. So first of all, hi. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Yeah, I love this question because I feel like people, especially right now, like shadow work is very like buzzwordy, right? Like a lot of people are talking about it, but I don't think a lot of people even really understand what it means. So in a nutshell, shadow work is really the work of bringing the unconscious conscious, right? So we are probably, I don't know the exact scientific stats, but we're probably using maybe like 5% of our conscious mind at any given time, right? We have the things that we're aware of. We've got like the subconscious mind, which is like the things that are like right under the surface that it's like, I may not be thinking about this, constantly, but somewhat aware. I can easily access this knowledge if I needed to, things like that. And then you've got the unconscious mind, which is the much deeper mind, which is most of our mind. And that tends to hold a lot of beliefs, memories. It can hold trauma for certain people. And it goes deep, right? It's things from our childhood. It's things from, different events in our lives. And these are things that will run the show without us knowing it. A lot of times we get activated, we get triggered by certain things, and these, we behave in these certain ways, or we think these certain thoughts, and we're like, I don't even know where this came from. And it's like, well, it came from your unconscious mind, right? And so it's so important to become aware of these things because, as you asked, how does it impact manifestation? If we have beliefs limiting beliefs, if we have stories about who we are and what we're able to do and how the world is and how we interact with the world that we're not fully aware of, but we're allowing to play out, then we are continuing to manifest these situations in our lives that are not in our highest, that are not the things that we desire, that aren't in alignment with, that whatever that North Star is that you're trying to go for.
So I'm actually even like my blood inside is just so happy. It's pumping right now because I love talking about the subconscious mind. What's one of your favorite ways to work with clients and connecting with the subconscious mind?
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing is to really do an inventory of like what's going on in your life right now, because
Mhm.
we like to think of like the subconscious and the unconscious is like so far away, and like in a way it is, because we're not directly accessing it in our conscious everyday moments, but it's really not that deep because it's playing out in your life 24/7, right? Like, as you know, we're manifesting 24/7, right? Everything is us pushed out. So we are looking at our lives and we notice the things that are like, oh, that's not really what I desire. Like, I don't like the fact that I continuously have this type of pattern, or every time this happens, right? And like, kind of noticing like, what are the patterns in my life? What are the things that are not going the way that I wish that they would? And that's usually a signal of like, oh, there's something here, right? Like there's
Mhm.
something that I need to look at. And asking yourself very simple questions of like, okay, when this, like every time let's say like every time I make a certain amount of money, a bill pops up and I automatically have to, like, I can't hold
Mm.
on to it, right? Like it's like the minute I make something, some huge bill comes up and then I have to pay it, right? And it's like, okay, so why does this keep happening? What's going on here? Like, and just turning inward and kind of wondering like, is this a story that I've been telling myself? Is this reminding me of a situation from my past in which, every time I was given something, it was taken away? And finding those patterns. And that's how we get to kind of start to unlock these different things that may be showing up in our present day life that are really related to like long time ago.
So it sounds like awareness is key.
Oh, absolutely. Awareness is more than half the battle. It really is, once you can start to become aware of your patterns and the different ways that you're showing up in the world, really from there, it's just an openness to be radically honest with yourself about why you might be doing the things that you're doing. But yeah, awareness is number one. And curiosity, right? Being curious about like, why do I keep feeling this way? Every time I do this thing, why do I always walk away feeling like this? Instead
Mhm.
of, sitting in the feeling, living in the feeling, making that your story, being curious as to like, oh, that's kind of weird. Like, why does that keep happening to me? What's going on here?
So there's a really big thing that you hit on. So I think a lot of people in the spiritual world will do something multiple times and it won't work out for them, or they'll get this result. Like every time I make money, the bill comes up, and then they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna take this as a sign that the thing that I want is not meant for me. Making money is not meant for me. It's not soul led or whatever it is they're calling it. Maybe date. I'm just meant to be single because every guy I go out with is." A jerk, whatever it is.
Right.
When in reality, what it sounds like you're saying is actually, no, it's your subconscious programming running the show. All that's happening is your insecurities or your limiting beliefs are being pushed out and you're living that manifestation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I mean, I do have a belief that, if a desire comes across your mind or is on your heart, it is meant for you, right?
Mhm.
Like, nobody is meant to be alone for their entire life. Nobody is meant to be struggling and not have any money. Like, that's not, you know what I mean? That's just not reality. Like, everyone is meant for more and everyone is meant to have whatever it is that they desire. And so, if there's a desire on your heart, it's meant for you. And so
Mhm.
when these things, these like quote unquote blocks or these roadblocks or whatever kind of keep popping up, it's just an opportunity for us to look at like, okay, there's a part of me that doesn't want it. That is true,
Mm.
but it does not mean that it's not meant for you, right? And so we have to look at like, okay, if there is a part of me that doesn't want it, why? Is there fear? Is there, does that part hold a story? Does that part hold a trauma? Does that part try to protect you from something? Maybe there's fear coming up because, in the past, when you were in relationships, yeah, it was not a good situation. You got hurt, you weren't safe, all these different things. And so these protector parts are coming up and they're like, no, 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 we got to like sabotage this, like, cut it off because we don't want her to get hurt again. Right.
Hmm.
And so then that's an opportunity to work with those parts and understand, okay, what's going on here? What are you afraid of? What do you need to feel a little bit safer so that she can move forward with whatever it is that you desire?
And I think the really cool thing that you just highlighted is that a part of you can really want something like the relationship, like the money, the career, the health, whatever. While coexisting, a part of you could also be in fear, can also really not want it. I see this a lot in relationships where people are like, I really want to manifest a person. And a part of me also still wants to go and have fun and do whatever I want, you
Yeah.
know? Or like, I don't
Yeah.
want to give up my freedom. I see
Right.
this a lot with clients, a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And that's just a story of like this part that's afraid of that is thinking if I end up in a relationship, then I'm no longer free. And
Hmm.
that's not ultimately true, but that part only understands it in that way. And sometimes we have to get curious and ask questions and connect with that part of ourselves and understand like, okay, why do you feel this way? Like, what are you afraid is going to happen? Is this ultimately true? Is this
Hmm.
are there ways that we can go about this that'll help you to still feel like you have your freedom, so that you can, everybody can be happy, because it's almost like you've got two people like butting heads and like fighting with each other, and that's why you're staying in the middle and you can't move forward.
Yes, and I love that you brought up story, the story that you're telling yourself. Can you talk about the story, what we can do with story and our identity and how it connects to shadow work?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, really, our shadows are really just stories, right? When you think about it, right? And you'll hear me, I just talked about it too, but just for anybody who's unfamiliar, like I talk about parts a lot. Parts work is a big part of the work that I do within shadow work. And what that essentially means is that, we all have multiplicity to us, right? We all have these different parts of ourselves that have kind of been created throughout our lives based on our different experiences and the things that we've been through. And they have different roles, right? Some are managers, some are protectors, some are, wounded inner child parts that are holding trauma. We have all these different things that are going on. And then we, of course, have our highest self, right? We've got our oldest, wisest, highest self, present day self that is wanting certain things and trying to work towards certain things. And so, when we look at the fact that we have all these different parts and each of them is holding a story, right? Each of them has an idea of what reality is. And a lot of times, these stories and these parts that are holding them are very much frozen in time, right? They are frozen in this moment of this horrible thing happened, or this scary thing happened, or this, whatever, fill in the blank with whatever adjective you want. But like, this thing happened, and now I believe that this is ultimately true. This is my belief about the world, about relationships, about money, about whatever it might be. And so when that story is playing on a loop in your unconscious mind, whether you can say as many affirmations as you want to say all day long in the mirror to yourself.
Hmm.
But if we have not broken that loop, if we've not connected with the part that believes that and tried to help that part understand that like maybe that was true 20 years ago. Maybe it was never true, and that's fine too. But maybe it was. A lot of times, often it is. There is some truth to the story because something happened that created the story of, I can't hold on to money, or relationships mean that I can't be free, or, whatever it might be. Um, but also updating that part to recognize that like it's not true anymore.
Hmm.
Right? Like we're in 2025, like it's been 20 years. Maybe this person, this potential relationship is nothing like that relationship back then. Like, and really like, I like to talk about it as like updating the role of that part,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Like let's update its job a little bit. Like we haven't updated that like, job description in 25 years. Like let's take a look and see if like this is even necessary anymore. And most of the time it's not.
I love, love, love this. So, for the person who is signed up to Manifestation Live, how to
Hmm.
manifest the shit out of your life, what can they expect to experience in your meditation?
Yeah, I'm so excited about this. So, first of all, thank you for having me for this amazing event. It's going to be amazing. My goal is for all of us to be able to get to a place where we're able to look inward, we're able to access any parts of ourselves that maybe feel uncomfortable with being there, maybe are skeptical about being there, are finding ways to, I hate using the word sabotage because it's really
Mm,
protection, but it feels like sabotage in the moment, right? Of, maybe making it so that we're not fully absorbing and learning and working through the things that we want to in that moment. And so we're going to identify those parts. We're going to ask those parts to take a step to the side, even just for a few hours, even just for the few hours that we're in that room and that we're doing this amazing work together. Can these parts just kind of be on the sidelines a little bit to create room for you to be able to absorb everything you need to absorb, for you to have the downloads that you're meant to have, for you to come up with a plan to be able to manifest whatever it is that you
mhm.
desire. So we're just trying to like let those limiting beliefs just move to the side a little bit. If we can eliminate them completely, that would be even more fantastic. But the main goal is for them to be able to be in the room fully in this for this few hours that we have together, and to be able to really tap in and be fully present.
Which is incredible because when you can be fully present and the little voice in your head full of fear, doubt, anxiety, limiting belief telling you that you can't do it is set to the side, you can actually go ahead and manifest the shit out of your life. So I
Exactly.
love this.
Yeah.
So, Naz, the first time I really heard of shadow work was it has to be like 8 years ago now, not 2019, whenever that was, so maybe less. But I read Dark Side of the Light Chasers by Debbie
Mm.
Ford.
I love that book. Yes.
Love that book. I love that book. The first time I read it, I thought she was so dumb. I'm like, I am perfect. What is she talking about? Like, I don't have any insecurities. I am so amazing. And then I was actually forced to read it for a book club I enrolled in. So I
Yeah.
read it a second time and it completely shattered all of my beliefs about myself and
Yeah.
really helped me heal parts of myself that I was ignoring or
Yeah.
punishing myself for having. And so I'm
Yeah.
curious to hear, as a shadow work expert, how'd you get into it?
So, I am a therapist, as you mentioned in the beginning. I've been a psychotherapist for over 18 years. And I've been doing shadow work, I think, my entire life and my entire career without labeling it as such, right? Like I don't remember in grad school them really talking about, shadow work per se, but we learned about the work of Carl Jung, and I've always been so fascinated with Carl Jung. I mean, I think that he is probably one of the first people that started to describe things as the shadow and talking about these different archetypes and the parts work and all of that stuff. And it's always just been something that I really think it's my dharma, honestly, because it's like I just instantly the minute I read it for the first time, I was like, this just connects with me. Like it makes so much sense. I love it. I'm obsessed with it. I understood it immediately. Like there was no like question about it. And I was able to very quickly not only implement it into my own life, but with my clients, right? Like, so as
Mm.
I'm like learning this in grad school, and of course I had clients like doing my residency and things like that, I was starting to do this like very quickly with them, like very early on, before even my supervisors were like talking, they're like, where did you get this from? I'm like, oh, I read this book like last week. And they're like, what are you doing? But it was working and I was watching it work in real time. And I saw how innate it really was for people if they were open enough to look at it, right? Of course, you
Mhm.
like it can be a bruise to the ego. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like,
I know.
I get where you're coming from because it is that thing of like, I'm sorry, what? You want me to look at what? No, that's not me, right? And so it can be, there can be a little bit of, but that's just a protector,
Yeah.
that's a protector part. Like, but when you can learn to befriend those protectors and allow them to put their guard down a little bit and really understand like what they're protecting, it's so beautiful and it's so gentle. I think that's the thing that I love the most about this work and the way that I do it is that it's not scary, right? People hear shadow work and they're like, oh my God, like I'm gonna
Mm.
cry for, I'm like, no, like we do it in the easiest, most gentle, compassionate, and loving way. And it feels so organic, And I think that people walk away from it. They're like, wait, what did we just did what? Like that felt so easy. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Like,
Yeah, I think people underestimate the importance of shadow work.
yes.
Okay, until you clear the part of you that is running away from the things that you're calling in, you're going to be, it's like running on a treadmill. You're just in the same spot. You
Yeah.
could like do all this work to get to the thing, do all the work. But if the voice is still saying, it's not possible for me specifically, or it's dangerous if I have that, or people will judge me, or whatever insecurity it is for you, then you're going to be blocking, stopping, and slowing yourself down from the manifestation. And so if you're not clearing the shadow, healing the shadow, then I mean, good luck to you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because I tell people all the time, ideally, right, when we're manifesting, we want to be manifesting from a clean place, right? Energetically clean from our highest self, from our oldest, wisest, most compassionate self. And when we have parts that we are pushing away, that we're ignoring, that we're not connecting with, that we're not understanding, they will come in and hijack, and you won't
Hmm.
even know it's happening. And
Hmm.
so now suddenly you're manifesting from the part that's terrified to hold the money, that is
Hmm.
terrified to be in the relationship, that thinks that money is evil, that thinks, whatever it believes about anything, and you don't even realize it because there's such a disconnect that you have with your different parts that you don't even notice that you're kind of being, I think of it as being hijacked. It's just like this part's kind of leading the way. And
Hmm.
so that part is now manifesting its desires, which is to keep you far, far away from that because it's scary and it's harmful. And that's what the beliefs are.
How I explain this to my clients sometimes too is your subconscious mind is the DVD
Hmm.
and your life is the movie that you
Yeah.
actually get to watch. And so if the DVD is scratched, being the limiting belief, being the fear, the doubt, whatever, there's going to be parts of the movie that you don't like, or that you didn't
Hmm.
anticipate, or that you get to miss, or that didn't feel so good because you didn't go and repair the scratches.
Yeah, I love that.
So I have a question for you. Do
Yeah.
you see any big difference between the word shadow and insecurity?
So I think that there can be shadow parts that are insecure,
Mm,
right? So the thing with the shadow is that it can be a lot of different things to a lot of different people, right? For everybody, it's going to look a little different. It's going to be, the idea of the shadow is these are parts that for whatever reason you have been taught or to believe that they're not good, that they should be hidden, that they're too much, that they are, you know, they disconnect you from getting the love and appreciation and things like that that you maybe wanted from your family when you were younger. So shadow parts are not always quote unquote negative,
right.
right? I've had clients who we are looking at their shadow and it's actually like the badass part of them that needs to show up in their business but has been hiding because when they were little they were told they were too much, they were told they were too loud, they were told, this is not like your show, right? And it's like,
Hmm.
actually, it is, right? So let's bring that part out of the shadow and allow that part to show up more and take the lead because she actually knows how to take the lead. She's just been so scared to do it for so long. So I think that like there are definitely parts, the shadow parts that hold insecurity, which can definitely create issues, with anything. But the shadow is not always necessarily like a more negative, quote unquote, behavior or attribute.
Okay, I love that. I love that distinction.
Yeah.
So I know that you're a mom, you have a
Yeah.
son. How do you bring shadow work into the home, into your family with with your child?
Yeah.
And do you find it almost a superpower that you're able to do this type of work with him at such a young age, at his age, which is young?
Yes, yeah, he's 10. So, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, obviously I've been doing this work with him like from the beginning, like as early as I could. And yeah, it's been amazing. I mean, I think that like there are really little micro ways that you can do this in your everyday life, and bring it into and make it very natural, right? Like I'm not like sitting down with him and being like, we're doing shadow work now, right? Like he has no idea what's happening, but it's about creating a space where every feeling is safe, every feeling is valid. Every idea, thought, whatever you may have is 100% accepted. And let's look at it. Let's talk about it. Let's understand it better, right? And not creating a place where, because you have this belief or because you showed up this way or you were thinking this way or acting this way, that I'm going to now shame you or I'm going to make you feel bad about it or I'm going to make you feel like um, you shouldn't be doing it. And not really even giving a reason why. That doesn't mean that I'm not
Mhm.
correcting my son when I need to, that I'm not creating boundaries and guidelines for him. But a lot of times when we have shadow parts that are created in childhood, it's because we were told to stop doing something and we didn't know why. And that creates shame, right?
Mhm.
You're too loud right now, be quiet. And, there's no room for conversation. It's like, okay, well, why is this maybe not appropriate right now? Or why do I need to be quiet or whatever? And so then that turns into like, I'm too loud. Loud is bad. Mom doesn't like it when I'm loud. If I want mom to love me, I need to be quiet. And it's like very
Mhm.
cut and dry because we're kids and we're black and white. That's how we think, when we're little. And so being able to create, I think, more open conversation and communication and room for him to just be who he is with, the boundaries in there, but also with explanation and understanding. And also that, unconditional love and positive regard that, like, even when you do things that are not acceptable or things that, would get you in trouble or whatever, like, I'm still going to love you no matter what. My love will never be taken
Mm.
away because I think that's the fear when we're little is that mom is mad at me, that means mom doesn't love me anymore.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's
And
huge.
and that is the belief for children when they're not hearing the opposite because they don't know, their brains are so absolute and they have a hard time holding duality because their brains just aren't developed enough to do it. And so, like it's one or the other. It's like, well, she's mad, so she can't love me. You can't be mad and
Mm.
love something at the same because they don't know how to hold that. So they can't see how an adult would be able to either. And so when we don't come back and sort of either repair the situation and say, like, I'm so sorry, I got really mad earlier. The thing that you did, I wasn't very happy about it, but I still love you. Or even in the moment, being able to do that is huge. And that helps to avoid this sort of the severe fragmentation that we see when we're looking at different parts, right? When we're
Mm.
looking at parts, it's because a part has split off because of something that happened, some sort of wounding, some sort of attachment. Rupture, like something that happened. And it could be minuscule. Like nobody's perfect. We all have it. Like no one has perfect
Yeah.
parents. Nobody had a perfect childhood.
No.
It doesn't exist, right? And my son's gonna have parts, and I'm sure there's things that I'm doing that are
Yeah.
that are messing him up too. But being as aware as I can be and being able to just create space for him to feel like he can come to me no matter what's going on.
So it sounds like the why really explaining to the child, like, hey, example, like, I really don't want you to throw that chair because it might break and we need somewhere to sit is the key so that they can understand.
Yes. Yeah.
And children who perhaps don't have parents that communicate well and explain the why behind what they're asking of their child, how can that be detrimental?
So it can be, and this is not to say that like 100% if you never explain the why, like your kid is messed up for life. Like
Mhm.
absolutely not, right? But like I think that what can happen is that we take on these beliefs. Like this is where a lot of these stories that we were talking about earlier come from, right? These like
Mhm.
absolutes of like, okay, this is the way the world is. Like this happened and I got in trouble for it. That means I'm bad. And so if I'm bad, that means I'm not worthy, which means I'm not, and then we kind of
Mhm.
create these stories about ourselves. And so when there's not this understanding of like, you are inherently good, you are inherently worthy, um, just for showing up and being you and just being yourself and not because you're a good girl, not because you got good grades, not because you got a goal in soccer, whatever it may be, not putting these conditions on, your worthiness, your lovableness, your goodness. It creates a lot of stories that people will continue to play out for the rest of their lives because it's so ingrained that they don't even realize that they're operating from that place.
Mm. So, something I always say is when we're younger, like I'm talking 0 to 8, zero,
Hmm.
really 0 to 8,
Yeah.
we have a really easy time with dress up. Okay. We play dress up. One day we're the princess, the next day we're the astronaut, the next day we're the doctor. Even if we're playing with dolls, right? We choose different identities with the dolls.
Hmm.
And even like maybe when you were in middle school and you were playing Sims, you kind of took on a new identity all the time. Like you weren't the same thing. You were
Yeah.
actually intrigued in being the different characters. One day the robber, the next day the police. Like you
Yeah.
wanted to experience these different identities. Whereas when we get older, we really get stuck in an identity and we don't really believe until somebody kind of wakes us up
Hmm.
that we could stop being one thing and be another, or even be two things at once,
Yeah.
right? People
Yeah.
have this idea that like I can't be spiritual and love money, or I
Yeah.
can't be spiritual and curse,
Right.
whatever it is,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
And what I'm picking up is that really in childhood, we're making these declarations of, well, okay, if my mom is yelling at me right now, she must hate me. It's very black and white, and we pick this up. And would you even agree or disagree that perhaps the more we get yelled at without reason, we get even more black and white?
Yeah. Because it's just, every time our brain is always looking for proof of a
Hmm.
situation, even if it's a situation that we aren't happy about, right? Because when we can see proof of something, when we can be right about something, that means we're safe,
Hmm.
right? Like it feels familiar. It feels like, okay, I'm in control of the situation. Like I predicted this outcome. I knew it was going to happen. So that feels like safe for me. And
Hmm.
so we're always looking for the proof. And so when we're young and we have this story that's maybe been starting to become ingrained in us about who we are and how we have to show up and those different things or, things about ourselves, we will continue to find proof in it as we get older, and that's how it gets even more ingrained, right? So it's like the
Hmm.
conditioning is like it starts a lot of times at home, but then it can be even like wired even harder in school, right? Because maybe
Hmm.
you have teachers who are also telling you like you need to sit down and be
Yeah.
quiet, or you need to get good grades, or you have to go to college, or you have to do, whatever, right? And then we see society is kind of telling us this as well as a whole. And then because this is already the loop that's going on, you begin to attract people into your life that are also telling you the same thing, right? Maybe you have friends who are the same way, or you attract a partner that also believes the same things about you. And then it's just almost like we're continuing to find the proof that like this is correct, this is the way I need to be. And because it's familiar, not necessarily like it's not even that like it's something that you want. And I say safe, I don't mean like it can be a very unsafe situation
Hmm.
from the outside. I really mean more like familiar.
Familiar,
I
yeah.
mean, yeah, like not necessarily like, oh, like this is a safe thing. So a lot of times people will keep themselves in very dysfunctional, unsafe situations because familiarity to the brain feels safer than the unknown,
Hmm.
right? And so we will continue to kind of just recondition ourselves into that same story even deeper and deeper and deeper.
So what you're saying is huge, and I think it really describes the process of how we even get a shadow. I want to break this down for the listener. Is you pick up a belief in childhood, okay? And that belief gets reinforced by authority figures, and then it really anchors in. And it goes into the subconscious mind. You're not constantly thinking this belief, but what does happen is the subconscious says, well, now we have to find evidence that this belief is true. So it will bring in, manifest, attract, whatever word you want to use, more scenarios into your life that prove this belief to be true.
Yes,
Okay. Once you have become aware of the belief that is running your life and that you may not like, then you can choose to heal it and clear it so that you no longer manifest and attract this situation from coming into your life.
exactly. Exactly.
Love this.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Because otherwise, it's continuing to, like you said, in the subconscious, it is behind the scenes continuing to look for the evidence. It's continuing
Hmm.
to look for the proof. It's continuing to find ways to be right. Because our brains will pick familiarity over happiness every single time.
Mm-hmm.
because we're wired for safety. We're, at the core, when we think about like our animal brain, it's wired for safety. And so that's what it will always come back to. And so when we can recognize that and realize, like, okay, like I know this to be true about my brain, but also like the thing that I'm considering safe or familiar is from something from like 25 years ago that's not even relevant anymore. And we
Mm-hmm.
can recognize that, get curious about it, understand the part that believes that this is still true, connect with it, maybe negotiate with it a little bit of like, okay,
Yeah.
how can we what do you need from me to help you feel safer so that I can go after this thing,
Yes.
right? And so we listen to the part. We don't get rid of it. We don't, throw it away. We listen.
And how do you listen to it?
So there's a lot of different ways. People do this in different ways. I like to guide my clients through a little bit of a visualization because what I want to make sure is happening is I want there to be separation between your highest self and the part that we're talking to. Because a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times these parts can be very like enmeshed in us, and we want to create a little bit of separation. And so when we can recognize that, like, okay, yes, this is a part inside of me, but I'm almost looking at it like it's another person that I'm talking to,
Right.
right? And so I will facilitate, a visualization where we're asking questions, where we're recognizing, like, okay, how do I feel about that part? How does that part feel about me? Does it trust me? No. Okay, what does it need from me to feel like it can trust me? And a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times it's very simple. A lot of times it's updating the part because sometimes that part thinks you're five.
Right. It's true.
And so it's like, of course, it doesn't trust a 5-year-old to make $1 million,
Correct.
But when we update the part and we're like, actually, it's 2025 and I'm 40, it's like, oh, like, I mean, I just last week I was working with a client and literally, like, the minute she updated the part with how old she was, I was like, how does the part feel now? And she was like, it's laughing because it's like,
Yeah.
it couldn't even believe like that it still thought I was 14 or whatever age it thought, right? And
Yeah.
so it's like this relief where it's like,
Mm.
whoa, like I don't have to be so on guard. I don't have to be standing there in my armor, like protecting anymore. And these parts
Mm-hmm.
are tired. They don't want to protect forever.
Correct.
They've been working really hard, you
It's
know?
also a lot to ask a 5-year-old to
Yes.
protect a 40-year-old. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Yeah.
that's what's happening behind the scenes.
And that's why people are so exhausted.
Yeah, it's okay. Two things I really want to say about this. One, it's funny, like I'll have clients who come to me and, I'll give them the task, right, to do the work, to unblock, to clear. And they're like, but this is so hard. I'm like, you know what's harder? Staying where you are,
Hmm.
having these parts of you protect you and feel
Hmm.
like they can't trust you right
Hmm.
now.
Hmm.
Right? It's always going to be easier to clear than to hang on to the pain, the hurt, the subconscious limiting belief.
Yeah.
The other thing that's so ironic about all of this is that if you were to ask a 5-year-old if he could become a millionaire, if he could be the president, if whatever it is, he would look at you dead ass in the face and be like, absolutely, I can.
Right.
I'm actually going to become a trillionaire. I'm actually going to become the king of the universe, not just the president, I'm going to be the king. Like, they really believe
Yeah.
that they really can be, do, or have anything. And that's
Right.
something that I definitely encourage people to connect to it, that
Yes.
belief that a
That
child
magical
has.
thinking can be so beautiful. And that's the thing. It's like, again, we're not trying to get rid of the inner child or those younger parts. We want to utilize them in ways that feel good for them and for us, right? We
Yeah.
want to tap into them and tap into their magic, tap into that youthful way of thinking, the fun, the joy that they can bring it back into your life. And when we clear and unburden them from holding like any trauma or stories or anything like that that they may have, then they get to be in their pure essence of
Yes.
fun and joy and all the beautiful things of being a child, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Once a 5-year-old doesn't have to protect the 40-year-old,
Yes.
you can use that 5-year-old self and tap into that belief to freaking
Yeah.
manifest big, huge things.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I do have a question for you that we ask everybody on the podcast.
Okay.
And it's if you were to have a spiritual sixth sense or gift, what would it be and how does it help you in your work?
Hmm. So honestly, like I believe that like I said earlier, like I feel like this work is my dharma. Like I really feel like I can read people so quickly and easily, and I can tap into who they are like so quickly. And people trust me. Like there's something about, I mean, we've met in person. Like there's something about my energy that like I don't even quite understand, but like I'm very grounding and I'm very safe. And so I think my supernatural power is the fact that I allow people to feel safe with me so quickly that we
Mhm.
can go there. Like we can go there and do this work that feels so hard to even think about,
Yes.
and do it quickly and do it easily and really in like the laziest way possible. Like I'm the self-proclaimed lazy girl also because like I don't like to do things that are hard. Like I'm like the like I'm not a hard, I don't do things that are hard. I don't do things that take fucking forever. Like I can't do it. Like I won't. And so I'm doing all of this work with my clients in like the easiest way possible. And we're making it simple but potent. Um, but also, very luxurious and like gentle and beautiful and loving. And so I think that that is sort of the thing that I can bring to the table, just allowing people to feel safe enough to go there in a
So
very short period of time.
for sure. I remember before I met you, almost everybody I talked to that we have mutuals with would be
Yeah.
like, I love Nas. I
Oh,
love Nas. I'm signing up with Nas. The next person I use as a coach is Nas. And I'm like, what is so special about Nas? Like, what? Like, I don't know. Like, who is this Nas? Like, what are you guys talking about? And yes, I met you in person. I feel like we connected like this. I was
yes.
like in your energy, like right away, like you said we could go so far so fast because you do have that energy. But also virtually, the first thing I told you when we hopped on this recording was, I love your energy. Like if we play this back to the beginning, it was
Yes.
literally the first thing I
It
said
was. Yeah.
because it's contagious. It like really opened me up. I was like, okay, let's get into
Oh, I
it.
love that.
So
I
I
love
agree with your
that.
superpower. I am curious. I don't know if it's putting you on the spot, but can you
Yeah.
read me?
So here's the thing about you is that we're very similar. And that's what I think is so interesting. And I think
Take
that's
that as
why
a
we
compliment.
also get along. I mean, first of all, for anybody who doesn't know, our birthdays are literally a day apart and we have the same rising, right? Your Scorpio rising is,
Yeah.
yeah. So that already like sets the stage for
You have a very good memory. Yeah.
that is actually another one of my superpowers I do have to say is like I do have a ridiculous memory. And that is really helpful with my clients because again, that helps them to trust me because I will remember the random thing you said to me 2 years ago. And so, and I'm not like it just, I don't know, whatever.
I love
But
it.
but I'm listening, I'm paying attention.
Right.
But yeah, no, I mean, I can see where people are holding themselves back and sort of like, what might be getting in their way. And I can tell that you've done a lot of the work. So I don't know that there's like a ton of things that are holding you back. I mean, we all have our little things here and there. Of course, we have
Right.
our little insecurities. I think that you are a person that really loves things to be done well and done in a certain way. And so, I think there can be times where maybe perfectionism can be a little bit of like, it's not always a bad thing. Sometimes, I mean, I'm like that too. It's like I like nice things and I like them to be done well. And so like, yeah, let my perfectionist part come in and like make this the most amazing thing that ever happened, for everybody, but also like having to keep that in check sometimes for
Hmm.
myself, like having to remind myself, okay, wait, do I want this done or do I want this perfect? And so like
Right.
I could see that kind of just being a thing that you have to be aware of. But again, like I feel like you've done a lot of the work. And so, there's not like these blatant things that are really like getting in your way. You're a go-getter, you know what you want. When you set your mind to
Thank
something, you're
you.
gonna go for it. You don't have to think too hard about things when you know it's the right move to make. I'm
Thank you.
like
I'll take
dissuading
it.
myself.
You know what? I take it as a huge compliment. The other question we ask every single guest on this podcast is if you could go for dinner with anybody dead or alive, fictional or real, who would you choose and what would you eat?
Oh
And what
my,
would you ask? What would
so
you ask for?
hard. I saw that as one of the pre-questions and I was like, oh my God, there's so many people.
So many people.
It's so hard. That is like such a hard question. I feel like there's a couple different angles that I could go with it, right? So I think like if I'm going from more of like a professional, like career sort of viewpoint, then I think either like Carl Jung or Freud, just because I think it would be absolutely fascinating, even though I don't agree with a lot of the things that either one of them
Hmm.
said. But I would just love to like understand a little bit better, like some of the things that they talked about. And I just think it would be an absolutely fascinating conversation. As far as what we would eat, I feel like they're bougie. So I feel like it would be like a very high end sort of situation, filet mignon, lobster vibes.
Love
And
it.
then just for like my own pure like indulgence, like Taylor Swift, because I'm
Mm.
obsessed with her and
My
I
God, me
love
too.
her. And I feel like we would just go out for like burgers and chicken tenders and like drink old fashions.
Uh, I might have to crash this one.
You're invited to.
Thank you. I might have to crash this one because I would like, even on a business standpoint, I
Yeah.
would
Oh, well,
take
that too. I
notes.
mean, yeah, like she's a mastermind.
I
So,
would take notes. I would literally be like, "What was that?" That's where my perfect, that's where my people pleaser would come in. But um, what's your big manifestation? Like, what are you brewing for the next 6 to 12 months?
yeah. So my big manifestation is really just bringing this work to as many people as possible.
Hmm.
I feel like, the world seems like it's crumbling around us. There's a lot of crazy shit going on. And a lot of it is because there's a lot of really unhealed people in the world
Yes.
reacting to things in really unhealthy ways. And if people would just take the time to look at their shadows, to do
Hmm.
the inner work, to look inward, um, remember the empathy and the compassion that they do have somewhere
Yeah.
inside them. Some of them it's deeper than others, but it's in there. I think that the world would just be such a different place. And I think that we could really change things not only now, but in the future and in the way that we're raising our children, the way that our children raise their children. And so my big thing is I just want as many people as possible to be introduced to this work, to do this work. I want to make this work as accessible and easy as possible. I just created a membership that's like ridiculous to get into. It's so accessible for people, because it's really just about having as many people as possible in it, um, so that they have access to this and that they can
Hmm.
change their lives for the better, but not just for them, but for like they're healing the past generations and the generations coming before that or after
Yes.
them.
Yes. 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 It's also like, how you say, I heal the past generations. When we do that, we are so much more free. We have such a lighter burden on us, and it allows us to get so much further in life. And
Yes,
I think that's just an
absolutely.
added bonus to all of this.
Yeah.
If somebody listening right now, which I know there's more than somebody, that wants to work with you and is like, how do I sign up to the membership? Or how do I even work with her one-on-one, if you offer that at all?
I
How
do.
can they get to know you? How can they
Yeah.
see your work?
Yeah, so on Instagram, I am goddess underscore unleashed underscore. And you can follow me on Instagram. I always have tons of stuff on there. There's tons of resources on there. All the links to my membership. It's called All In, the Lazy Girl membership. Links for that are on my Instagram. As far as working one-on-one, you can always just shoot me a DM and we can see if we're a good fit. I do also do like one-off sessions for brand new people so that we can get to know each other. They're called shadow alignment sessions. So we work on a shadow part that you want to work on in the 1 hour session. And then if it feels like a good fit to continue, we can always do that. And yeah, so I'm there. I also have a free Facebook group that's called
Mm.
Goddess Unleashed, Unlock Your Dreams Through Shadow Work.
Ooh.
So it's a free Facebook group. The link for that is also in my Instagram bio. And you can join that. I do free master classes from time to time. I go live in the group. And there's tons of resources and things like that in there as well.
I'm going to put your Instagram in the show notes. So for anyone listening, you could just also just check the show notes and go straight to Naz's Instagram. One last question before I let you go. What's three pieces of wisdom that you would like the listener to know about shadow work, to know about you before we let them go?
Yeah, so I'm going to share with you my lazy girl method. This is my three-step method for
Mm,
shadow work. So perfect that you asked for
perfect.
three things. Like, So really what it is in a nutshell, it's three steps. So the first step is regulate, right? So we want to look at our nervous system, get regulated, make sure that we are not operating from a dysregulated place. There's tons of different ways to do that. Of course, I teach these things, but you can also YouTube nervous system regulation. There's a lot of different ways to get regulated in your body. The next step is to reflect and reveal. This is where we were talking about earlier, getting curious. Why am I doing these things? What's going on? What's being activated for me right now? What got me dysregulated? Where did this come from? This is where we reveal the different parts of ourselves that may be getting in the way of us being able to manifest the things that we desire.
Mhm.
And then the last step is receiving, right? And so once we've cleared those things, once we're in a regulated place, once we've recognized what parts might be getting in the way and we've maybe asked them to step to the side, that's when we open ourselves up to receive and then start that manifestation process of getting clear on what it is we desire, putting it out into the universe and really allowing us to be an open channel for whatever's meant to come through.
Ooh, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing it. It was so nice to have you on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
Hey, if you like this podcast episode, please download it, give us a nice review, and follow us on Instagram at Journey with VRD to get all the latest and the greatest updates. Till next week.